Everybody keeps saying the same thing. Don't buy active collections, they're still dropping. And honestly, that sounds smart until you actually look at the numbers. Because some active collections are complete dead money, some are amazing as play skins, and terrible as investments. And a few of them are setting up in a really interesting way. So in this video, I'm ranking the active CS2 collections from an investment angle, both weekly drop and Armory. And by the end, I want to answer one simple question. Are any of these actually worth buying right now? Now first, I need to make this clean. For this video, I'm using factory new only. Not because it's perfect, it's not. But the second you start mixing minimal wear, field tested, float caps, weird supply pockets and edge case trade-ups, this turns into a spreadsheet war and the video gets way messier than it needs to be. So this is FN only. Clean comparison. Same standard across everything. And the prices and FN counts I'm using come from the April 17th export. Second, I'm looking at 5 things. How long the collection has been active, how expensive the top skins are, how scarce the FN supply actually is, whether the collection has real trade-up structure, and whether people actually care about the skins, because a collection can look incredible and still be a horrible investment. Before we even touch the active Armory collections, we need one benchmark: graphic design. Not because it's active, it isn't, but because it's the cleanest comparison for the Armory collections that we have. Why? Because graphic came from the exact same system. Same Armory pass, same star redemption model, same you had to actively choose to redeem this supply funnel that Valve introduced in the October 2024 Armory update. Valve then removed graphic from the Armory 1 year later, which means Armory rotations are no longer theory, they are precedent. And the data makes graphic a serious benchmark too. The OP CMYK is sitting around 4,000. The Desert Eagle Starcade is around 15,000. The AUG Lil Pig is around 7,000. That is not massive supply. And the community noticed. There were multiple posts calling graphic slept on, especially as trade-up stock, even while prices dipped after removal. So that's the benchmark. If an active Armory collection has worse supply than graphic, I pay attention. If it has way more supply than graphic, I cool off fast. Let's start with the weekly drop side, because we don't have a benchmark and it's more of a personal preference. Some of these collections have been recently added and I don't expect any of them to be removed soon. Right now the active weekly collections are Ascent, Boreal, Radiant, Achroma, Harlequin. Ascent, Boreal and Radiant were added in spring forward. Achroma and Harlequin are the newer wave, added on January 21st, 2026. And one very important thing right away. None of these weekly drop collections have a covert. They all top out at classified in our dataset. That makes their trade-up ceiling weaker than the Armory collections, before we even talk about taste or scarcity. Ascent is solid. That's the best word for it. The M4A1S Stratosphere Factory is around $100. The AK-47 Midnight Laminate is around the mid-20s. The USPS Royal Guard is around the low teens. So the top end is respectable. The scarcity isn't that bad either. Stratosphere has around 7,000 factory new skins. Midnight Laminate has around 39,000. Royal Guard has around 44,000. In my opinion, the problem is design. Skins don't look good enough for me to get excited while the collection is still active. But I'd like to own a Midnight Laminate and a Royal Guard. So Ascent for me is the definition of good, not special. Then there's Boreal, and Boreal is the easiest pass for me. The headliner is the AUP Green Energy factory new at around $86 with roughly 13,000 skins. Then you've got Sheet Lightning and Glockingbird, both over 20,000. That's not a disaster, but it's not a setup either. And on top of that, Boreal has a very specific look. Green, earthy, outdoorsy, understated. That can work for a loadout, it doesn't always work for mass demand. I own a AK-47 Wintergreen because I like the way it looks and it's affordable. So Boreal is a collection I understand, I just don't want to buy it. Radiant is the one older weekly drop collection I actually like. The AK-47 Nouveau Rouge is around $130 with only about 8,500 skins, which already puts it in a good spot compared to the older weekly drop headliners, and it's a good looking play skin. Then you've got Mulberry, which I love, Glitched Paint and Bleeding Edge backing it up. This is not a pure scarcity play, but it does have the best combination of recognizable top skin, clean art direction, and a decent variety of play skins. Will Radiant Collection be removed soon? Most likely not, but if you want the most balanced weekly drop collection, I think Radiant is the answer. Now we get to Achroma, and Achroma is where the weekly drop side finally gets interesting. Because the supply numbers are very low, keep in mind that Achroma and Harlequin have been released 4 months ago. The Op the End has only around 400 factory new skins. The AK-47 Breakthrough has under 3000. The Glock 18 Trace Lock has a little over 3000. That is absurdly tight for an active weekly drop collection. The issue is not scarcity, the issue is demand. Achroma has a monochrome black and white identity, and the community reaction has been mixed. Some players love the clean look and the fact that it feels different from most recent collections, while others think the contrast isn't strong enough, and the skins end up looking a little muddy in actual loadouts. So Achroma is not my safe pick, it is my high-risk scarcity bet. And then there's Harlequin. If Achroma is controlled, Harlequin is chaos. It is loud, it is colorful, it is extremely easy to remember. And the supply is also strong. The M4A1S Party Animal has around 1500 FN skins. The Op Exothermic has around 3000. The USPS Sleeping Potion has around 3400. So Harlequin has the same core appeal as Achroma. Very low active supply, very distinct identity, and a lot of room to re-rate later. The difference is that Harlequin feels broader and more playful, while Achroma feels cleaner and more niche. So my weekly drop conclusion is simple. 1 Radiant, the balanced pick. 2 Achroma, aggressive scarcity bet. 3 Harlequin, high volatility upside play. 4 Ascent, solid, not exciting. 5 Boreal, easiest pass. Now we move to the more serious side, the Armory. And this is where the supply model changes completely. These are not weekly drops. These are star-gated collections inside the Armory system Valve launched in 2024. That matters because the active Armory collections all have covert skins, which means better trade-up structure right away. Spot and Field is the most overrated active investment collection in my opinion. Now, let me be fair, the skins are great. The M4A1S Fade is obviously the star. Then you've got Glock 18 Axia and Galil Rainbow Spoon, so visually, very strong. But the supply kills the magic. The M4A1S Fade has around 66,000 factory new skins. That is not rare. Axia has over 20,000 and Rainbow Spoon has over 30,000. And the community basically treats Sport and Field like this too. Huge appeal, big hype around the Fade, but a lot of debate over whether the collection is already too redeemed to be an elite investment. So Sport and Field is a great player collection. I just don't think it's the cleanest money play. Overpass 2024 is much more interesting. The AK-47B, the monster, has around 10,500 factory new skins. The AWP Krakow has around 22,000, and Zeus Dragon Snore has around 14,000 factory new skins. So this is not ultra rare, but it is way tighter than Sport and Field's top end, and community sentiment on Overpass is very clear. A lot of people see it as one of the safest removal speculation bets because it's old, it's still active, and Graphic already proved Valve will rotate Armory content. So Overpass is not my favorite pure scarcity bet, it is my favorite watch the next Valve rotation bet. And now we get to my favorite active Armory collection, Train 2025. Because this setup is weird in exactly the right way. The Op Long Dog has under 2000 FN skins, M4A4 Hellish and MP9 Latte Rush have around 7000 each, and the Tech 9 Whiteout has around 3200. That is pretty low for an active Armory collection. And unlike Sport and Field, this isn't just one famous skin doing all the work. Train has an actual ladder. Long Dog is an okay skin. Hellish looks decent too. Latte Rush looks cool, and Whiteout is a classic. Community discussion around Train has also gone in a very interesting direction recently. A lot of people think it has opened far less than the other active Armory collections, which could make it either the overlooked buy or even a surprise early rotation candidate. That does not mean Valve removes it next, but it does mean the collection has the two things I care about most: real scarcity and real optionality. So for me, Train 2025 is the best active Armory collection right now. So if I rank everything from an investment angle, this is where I land. Radiant and Train 2025 as my top picks. But if I would be to spend $100 in filler skins, I'd go only with low tier train skins. And above all of them, as the benchmark, sits graphic design, because graphic already showed the market what happens when a star-gated collection leaves the shelf, and we all know that graphic was not a collection liked by the community. If you would have bought $100 worth of Khalil NV last year, you would have almost $600 today. So yes, I do think some active collections are worth investing in, but only if you stop treating all active collections like they're the same thing, because they're not. Some are demand plays, some are scarcity plays, some are removal plays, and if Valve drops another last chance banner, this entire conversation changes overnight. Comment with your top 3 active collections, and if you want, I'll do a follow-up where I compare the active collection with the inactive and discontinued ones. I managed to pull all the CS collections, and some data from the past collections is intriguing. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.